guys, welcome to another video. We're going to have a crash course on kinematics, so basically dynamics. So we're going to cover as many topics as we can, right? So the difference between mechanics and statics is that mechanics is a general term composed of two topics. So really, mechanics is really dealing with objects in motion. So since everything that moves experience forces, then again, if you're going to if you're going to review the previous topic, so a force can either make an object move or make it stop. Okay, so kinematics is a study of motion, so it describes how objects move, and dynamics answers the question why objects move the way they do. Okay, so a very important key term here is the reference frame. So reference frame is a coordinate system plus a timer. So for example, so in a nutshell, what reference frame really mean is, example, this is you and this is your bebe. Okay, this is you and your bebe, and this is me. Okay, so to my right, to my right is you, and to my left is your bebe. Right, in my perspective. But if you are here watching, all right, so watching them, so this means that this is your left and this is your right, and you is to the left of, I don't know, and for example, ito sino ba to? Si Mr. X. Ibig sabihin, to Mr. X left is you, and Mr. X right is your bebe. And, of course, front side, right. So, ibig sabihin, so, all you need to remember is who or what is the reference. So, all you need to do is to understand the problem. So, meron namang tinatawag sa English yung subject. So, all you need to do is to find the subject. Okay? Subject ang hanapin nyo para malaman nyo kung ano yung reference frame. Now, the reference frame, for example, the topic is you are walking towards Mr. Y that is positioned at the back of your bebe. But in your perspective, side to side. Right? So, anong point? I mean, there's no really point. Wala naman talagang actually point. But what I'm trying to say here is you have to understand who is the receiver or the doer of the action of the subject. Because the subject is the reference frame. So, sa kanya nakabase. Kung kanyang kanan ba o kanyang kaliwa. Alright? So, first term, so we have reference frame. Now, we have displacement. Okay? So, I'm quite sure na na-review na sa inyo na-tackle na sa inyo ni JB, but I'm going to make a review. So, what's the difference between displacement? Oh, wait. What's the difference between distance, displacement? What's the difference between the two? Okay, so let's say that this is your house. And this is your, let's say this is a 2D plane, okay? Top view yan, top view or aerial view. Okay? Let's say this is the park or the pool. And this is your school. Okay? That's the school. Now, if you were told that you walk from house to the school, and then you went to school, from school to the playground, and then you go back again to the school, and then from school you went home, okay? And let's say that the distance between your house to the school is 5, and the distance between home and to the playground is, let's say, 6. All right, so distance is like this. Distance covers the total number, the total distance that you traveled. So it's gonna be 5, 6 plus 6, it's gonna be 11, and then another 6, so it's gonna be 17, another 5, that is 22. So you covered 22. But displacement is different, because if you're going to ask what's the displacement between the house and the playground, that's a different question because it's unknown. So that's the displacement, or that's the displacement. So ano yung easiest o yung pinakamabilis na route? So all you need to remember is that when we talk about displacement, it's the easiest route, or the shortest route from your destination, from your location to the destination. So that's displacement. While distance, on the other hand, covers. Alright? So dapat clear. So displacement is a vector quantity. And the reason why this displacement is a vector quantity, because again, if this is your home and this is the playground, really, and this is the school, you don't really go there and go there and go there and go back. Displacement is a one-way trip. Yung easiest route. That's gonna be from your home to the playground. So that's the distance that is covered. And what's gonna be the direction? Is it from west to east? Or is it from north to south? So that's the essence of displacement. So displacement will give you the shortest route, and at the same time the direction of the shortest route. So that's the difference from displacement and distance. Now, so the direction of the x-axis is also of the x is also arbitrary. So what when I say arbitrary is like this. So when this is your reference plane, this is you, and this is your bebe, you. Okay? So, and let's say this is me and at the center. So when I say that going to the right is positive, then going to the left is negative. But, paano pag umalmang bebe mo? Sinabi niya, bakit negative ako? Hindi naman ako negative. Gusto ko positive din ako. Alright, sige. Pwede nating baguhin. Pwedeng sabihin na every time that you're going to the left, it's positive, and every time that going to the right is negative. So that's arbitrary. That's the meaning of arbitrary. So you can set it anywhere you want, but you have to be consistent. Because when you say that going to the left is positive, dapat hanggang sa dulo, positive lagi ang going to the left, and negative ang going to the right. So yun ang point. So displacement can either be a positive one or a negative one. So remember your first topic in vectors. Okay. For example, this is your vector. This is your vector 1. That's A. This is A bar. All right. And this measures, let's say, 5. And then you have another anti-vector, which is B bar, and it measures 3. So the question is, what is the displacement? So this displacement comes from here, and then you go here, and that's 5, and then you went backwards. So it means kumain ka ng minus 3. So what will be the displacement? So the displacement is what's left. So that's delta D, and that's displacement, and the displacement is 5 minus 3, and that's 2. So that's positive. You assume that going to the right is positive and going to the left is negative. What if it's the other way around, since this is arbitrary? Now when we say arbitrary, it's going to be a negative 5 since we're going to the right, and everything that goes to the left is a positive 1. So it's going to be the negative 5 plus 3. So that's negative 2. So it could be a positive or a negative or a zero. When we say zero, let's say this is your vector, vector a bar, and this is 3, and you went another backwards, 3, b, and that's going to be 3 minus 3 is equal to 0. So, question is, did you move at all? The answer is, well, you did move, but you don't have a displacement. The reason for this is because this is your initial position, and this is your final position, and they're basically the same. So 0. Alright? But here, this is your initial position, and this is now your final position. So, you have a remaining distance. So, that's the displacement, which is 2. Hindi na maliapat na maging Indiano dito. Alright, so when we talk about velocity, so first we have reference point, then we have displacement, and now we have velocity. Okay, so velocity is the rate of change in the position. So rate of change means it's changing, or delta. Now, delta S when we say displacement, and delta T when we say time, and that is velocity. Right, so it means that you change in displacement in a change of time. Now, what if you didn't change? If you didn't, there's no change in time at all. Are you going to have a velocity? Basically, no. Because anything that is divisible by 0, that's gonna be broken or undefined. Because there will, you know the reason why for that? The reason for that is because there cannot be a 0 time. You mean you cannot change the flow of time anyway. I mean, if you're going to be philosophical, you cannot change the flow of time. But what you can have is a 0 displacement. For example, this is you, right? And then this is you, 10 a.m. Now, after 1 hour, so that's going to be 11, you're still at the same position. So, your initial position, or S1, and this is still your S2. And S1 minus S2, assuming that they're the same, 0, so that's 0 over 1, and that's 0. So you didn't move at all. Right. So the average velocity, that's how you have to think about that. So instantaneous velocity, okay. So what's the difference between velocity and instantaneous velocity? Well, instantaneous velocity is the snapshot. Okay, for example, if you're moving like this, it's really difficult, you know, to know. It's really difficult for you to know your velocity, no? Unless you have your speedometer. Your speedometer gives you the instantaneous velocity. Period. End of story. Pwede na umuwi. Bye-bye. Okay? Now, second one is acceleration. Now, acceleration is the rate of change of velocity in time. So you mean, sir, nag-change na nga yung velocity tapos nag-change pa siya? Oh. So, again, velocity is the change on displacement over change in time. Okay, yung S displacement yan. I mean, we use different terms of variables. S when we say displacement, and D when we say distance. Okay? Again, displacement is different from distance. Okay, so that's velocity. Acceleration, on the other hand, is the change in velocity in change in time. Okay? So it means that your... Okay, so breakdown natin ha. So velocity is meter per second. And since there is still t over s, okay, so using your mathematics, that's going to be meter per second squared, because that's meter second times second. And if you can remember your math, okay, an plus am is equals to an plus m. Oh, sorry, not really plus, but multiply though. Okay, so when we multiply, same basis, you just add the exponents. Okay? So, acceleration, instantaneous, just like instantaneous velocity, you also have instantaneous acceleration. Yung sa sasakyan, kita nyo yun dun. Kung may car kayo, kung wala kayong car, magkaka-car din kayo. Huwag kayong mag-alala. Okay, so these are the formulas that we use in kinematics when we consider constant acceleration. Remember, guys, that when we say constant acceleration, okay, so the velocity is constant, the acceleration is 0. Alright? So these are the formulas that we're using. So remember that when we say V, yung wala nakalagay sa baba na subscript, that means it's final. But when we say V naught, so V naught yung 0 initial plus acceleration times time. So delta X is when we say displacement or S is equals to 1/2 V naught or V initial plus V final times T. And then displacement can also be equivalent to the V naught times time plus 1/2 acceleration times time T squared, or V final squared is equals to V initial squared plus 2 acceleration times displacement x. Now there is an additional formula here that says the V average is equivalent to 1/2 V initial plus V final. Right? Makes sense naman, diba? V initial plus V final divided by 2, that's basically the average. Alright, so let's try to solve some problem. Oh, wala pa palang problem. So, free falling bodies pa pala. Alright, so free falling bodies. So, so due to gravity, everything that has a mass is affected by something which is a larger mass. So, this is M big and this is M small. So, the larger object will attract the smaller object, and the smaller object can also attract the large object. But since, remember, the force is directly proportional to the mass, the greater the mass, the greater the force. So that's it. So the smaller the mass, the smaller the force. Alright? So, gravity is very complicated pa yung topic ng gravity because there are still existing debates as to what is gravity, you know? What is gravity? Is it a force? Well, in the eyes of Newton, gravity is a force. But in the eyes of Einstein, okay, gravity is a bend or a bent space-time. Now, di naman tayo nag-aaral ng physicist. Naging physicist, we are actually using physical math. So, I don't know, hindi pa tinuturo sa atin ito yung mga ganitong klaseng topic, no? Kasi medyo very, the reason why we're not being taught about space-time is because we are still conformed with the idea of Newton. Okay? Probably, kapag tumanda na yung panahon, nag-advance na yung science, so, baka hindi na si Newton ang famous, kundi si Einstein na. Kasi they proven that gravity is not really a force, but it is a bent space-time. So, yeah. Anyways, since ito pa naman yung tama, kaya nga law, okay? Kaya nga law, so, ito muna yung susundin natin. Okay, so free fall. So, in a free fall, speed up equals speed down. And a free fall time up is also time down. Now, if you understand this one, if you're going, for example, this is you, and you throw something upward, okay? So the time of flight or the time that it will reach standstill or magsa-stop yung object dyan is the same time that you will have here at this position. So, kung 2 seconds yan, umangat siya dyan, 2 seconds siyang bababa. Always remember that. Nasabi ko na rin sa unang video yan kanina. Yata, yung sinayin ko sa inyo. Okay, so speed up. So, ibig sabihin, your initial velocity or your V naught going up is also the same as your velocity going down. And here, the velocity is 0. You know why 0? Because tataas yan, tapos magsa-stop kasi nga wala na siyang energy at then mababa naman siya. Ganun. So remember the concepts. Same velocity upward, same velocity impact, same time upward, same time downward. If you are considering same elevation. Okay? But, for example, okay? For example, ito ka, syempre, meron namang height yung kamay mo, hindi ka naman start from zero. So, ibig sabihin, meron kang initial distance or height. And then, you will drop it. Alright? So, magiging standstill. And then, bababa, mahulog sa lupa. Okay? Always remember na merong height dito. Same din yon. So, the velocity here is the same as the velocity here. But the velocity of the impact here is different. So, mas mataas na yon kaysa dito. Okay? Nako-compute ba yun, sir? Yan, nako-compute yun. So, wait lang. Be watchful of these kinds of problem, okay? Be watchful. Yun lalo yung mga tinatapon from hand and then, ang bagsak niya ay ground. Alright? So, be watchful. So, let's try to do a problem. Okay, sample problem. So here it says a car traveling 20 meters per second passes a car at rest. So, sino ang topic natin? Yung car traveling. Alright, so let's say ang car traveling natin is yung orange. Okay, so sabi niya, ang velocity daw nito ay 20 meter per second. So, dire-diretso siya, di ba? So, then, nakadaan na siya sa isang car at okay, sabihin natin nandito na siya ngayon. Okay? And then, nakadaan siya ng car at rest. So, the police car, okay, so ibig sabihin, police car pala yun. So, this is a police car. Okay? So, the police car starts move at rest and accelerates at constant rate of 2 meter per second speed. Ano nangyari? So, ibig sabihin, dire-diretso pa rin ito. Wait lang, sorry. Okay, so sundan nyo na ang kwento, ha? Ibig sabihin, itong car na to, dire-diretso pa rin yan. Okay? Pero yung car, police car, siguro kumakain pa ng burger yan o nagkukumo pa yan. So, nakastante pa yung kanyang sasakyan. Tapos bigla niya napansin itong sasakyan na to. Teka lang, parang kahina-hinala itong sasakyan na to. So, nung dumaan siya dito, nakastop ito, then bigla niyang hinabol. Pero yung acceleration niya ay constant 2 meters per second squared. So, the question is, what distance would the car have traveled before the police car overtakes him? Considering that you have a constant velocity. Therefore, when you say constant velocity, guys, sa previous quiz number 1 ko, when you have constant velocity, therefore, your acceleration is 0. Remember that. Okay. Now, so, ulitin ko lang. So, magsisimula ka lang ng bilang, obviously, dito. Kapag nag-meet yung dalawa. Initial time, which is 0. So the question here is, what distance would the car have traveled before the police car overtakes? Now the question is, there will be a time that this car moving 20 meters per second can be overtaken by a police car. You know why? Because the acceleration is 2 meters per second squared. So ibig sabihin, pabilis yan. Okay? The question is, what would be the distance? Okay? Anong distance na mahahabol ng police car yung sino mang kasakyan na yun. Okay, yun ang question. Okay, so medyo tricky, no? So, drawing ko lang na maayos. So, initially, these are your initial position. So, this is gonna be your initial position, D. And this is your initial time, T0, and V0. Now, very tricky ito kasi dalawang car moving. But still, if you're going to take a look at it, okay, you will have a similar distance. So, the covering is the question. So, gaano na kalayo at tinakbo nung car bago siya mahabol from initial position. Okay, so looking at our formula, we have V is equals to, wait lang, ang hinahanap natin ay S, di ba? Displacement. Well, we can check our formula here. Wait lang, solve ko muna yung mga given. So, the car, orange, is velocity is 20 meter per second, acceleration is equals to 0, while the police car has an acceleration of 2 meters per second square. Okay? Now, first we look at the, what are common? Ano yung common sa dalawa? Ang common sa dalawa is yung kanilang distance. Okay, yun ang common. Kasi dun sila nagkabulan. Now, looking at the formula, ano yung may distance? Okay, so we can use this formula. So our distance, or S, is equals to the initial time times time plus 1/2 AT squared. Okay, so so constant acceleration. So acceleration is constant, 0. So looking at this formula, the average is 1/2 AT. Okay, we can also use the same formula here. S is equals to, wait lang. So S displacement, wait lang, purple na lang. Since common ang purple. So S. So this is to signify that we're using the the car. Formula is V initial times time plus 1/2 AT squared. Okay. Then we use light blue because V naught times time plus 1/2 AT squared. Okay? So since common sila, equate na lang natin. Gamitin siyang gray. So, wait lang. It's gonna be V naught T plus 1/2 AT squared is equals V naught T plus 1/2 AT squared. Right. So V initial is 20. So since time is 0, start at this 1 times 0. Wait lang. No, time is not 0 here. Yes. Okay. So 20 times time plus 1/2 AT squared is 0. Alright. So initial of the car is 0. And then times time plus 1/2 2 T squared. Now, eliminating 0, 0, what's left is 20T is equals 1/2 times 2, gonna be T squared. T squared. Alright, so medyo tricky. Okay, so since we're seeing T squared here, there are two options. Okay, option number 1 is that we use quadratic equation. And second option is that we simply divide both sides by T. Okay, so yung gagawin natin. So first step, let's try using quadratic equation. So this is going to be 0 is equals to T squared minus 20T. So we're going to find T. Okay, what are the two values for T? Now if you're going to post this one, Okay, so sorry, I'm not quite sure kung saan na yung naabutan, no? But if you're going to check this one, using quadratic equation of your calculator, fx911 plus, so the time that you can get, the time that you will arrive is t is equals to 20 or t is equals to 0. So since wala naman time na 0, we can only use t is equals to 20. Now, using that's using quadratic equation, but using the second one, which is divide both sides by t, this is gonna be 20 is equals to t. So, same lang. Alright? But there are chances na iba ang sagot. So, question. Sir, anong gagamitin namin? Are we going to use technique number 1 or technique number 2? Well, if you ask me, this is the most accurate since if we're going to talk about mathematics. So, mathematically speaking, mas tama ito. You know why? Kasi dalawa kasing bibigay na sagot. So, mas maraming sagot, mas maganda. Joke lang. Pero yun naman talaga. Okay? So what does this mean? So, it means that the police car will overtake the car traveling at 20 meters per second after 20 seconds. Okay? After 20 seconds, habol na. Yun ang ibig sabihin yan. Now, nasagot na ba yung tanong? Hindi pa. So, we can use either of these two equations to determine the distance. Because either way, they are the same. S is equals to S. Alright? So, if you're going to look this formula, 0 na yan. So, 20. So, since 20 times 20 is equals to 400 meters. Sa kabila naman is 1/2 to 20 squared. Tama ba? So, 20 squared, so that's gonna be cancelled. Then, 20 squared is basically 400 meters. So, yay! Same lang. So, ang sagot is 20 seconds, mahahabol ng police car yung car traveling at a distance of 400 meters. Ibig sabihin, draw ko na lang. Ibig sabihin, makikita na silang dalawa dito. Ito yung initial position, naka-rest yung police car, and the distance is 400 meters, at nagtagpo sila at t is equals to 20 seconds. So, sana nagtatagpo, no? Sana nagtatagpo. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng interpretation ng problem na yan. Alright, so next topic. Okay, so, kasi hindi lang naman yan. Na-discuss ko na rin yung sa problem. So, parang more over na lang naman yan. Okay, so, kinematics. So, projectile. Now, projectile naman tayo. So, this is one of example of a projectile motion. So, in projectile, actually, it's, na-explain ko sa video eh. Dun sa video na una kong binigay. So, sana mapanood nyo na lang. So, may mga formula dyan sa projectile. Okay, so, what's the catch? So, what's the catch? So, the catch is, applicable lang yung formula na yan, okay? Applicable lang yung formula na yan if we're talking about projectiles at the same plane. For example, ito yung cannonball. Applicable ito mga formula na yan kapag ganyan ang sitwasyon. Sir, kailan hindi nagiging applicable ng ganyan, sir? Anong sitwasyon yung tinutukoy mo? Ang sitwasyon na tinutukoy ko yung ganito. Ganyan. For example, ito yung cannonball. Ibang formula yan. At ganoon din naman kapag mga pababa. For example, ito yung cannon mo. Basically, actually, parehas lang naman pala. So, sorry. Dito lang pala applicable yun sa mga ganitong klaseng problem. Yan. So, ibang formula doon. Okay? Ibang formula na ginagamit. Check ko lang kung na-discuss ko. Oh, di ko pala na-discuss. Okay. Search natin kay Google. Okay. Formula, projectile, motion, different heights. Yan. Di pala eh. Different Ayun, projectile motion, uh, not same plane.
Okay, ma'am. Lago na, ma'am Joyce.
Bakit? So what if it's not in the same plane? Same formula. Wala minigay. Hmm. I'm sure there was. Anyways, I'm going to find it. I'm going to post it on the Facebook group, right? So, so blah 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 blah. Okay, so blah 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 blah. Okay, so work and kinetic energy. I hope it's gonna be. This will be a video. This will be the last video for this week. Yeah, I guess. So we're going to talk about work and kinetic energy. Yeah. So medyo exciting kasi itong topic na to kaya medyo pero mahaba-haba kaya next video na lang. So yeah, so that's it for the video. I hope you learned a lot. So this is just a review of this is just a snippet of the previous video na na-upload ko na. So I hope you watched it too. Kasi mas importante, mas maganda na mas marami kayong naririnig o nababasa. No? Anyway, that's it. Yeah, bye-bye.